Part 74. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 735. At this time, the more than 5,000 ghost bandits on Guisha were extremely frightened. Their eyes widened with anger and shock, and they were scolding the bone ghost for its selfish charge. Damn it! You want to be loyal to the Lord, but we don't. The master who had killed 1,000 swords did not regard their lives as life, but forcibly kneaded their bodies to form a ferocious monster, causing them to completely lose control of their bodies. Now, he also wanted to use them as cannon fodder to waste Shenjian's supernatural power. This kind of thing is difficult to accept no matter who it is, let alone a group of ghosts and thugs like them. If they don't turn around and go back to kill the corpses and ghosts, they are already maintaining their sanity. Because of this, the master would instruct Bone Ghost to become the leader of this body. All the ghost consciousness bodies have thought of this. They all began to fight for control of their bodies. At the same time, they roared angrily, "Get up and resist. Can't you see that this idiot only knows how to carry out the orders of the boss? He will drag us to death together. If we don't resist now, if we scratch a hair on that man later, so will one of us countless brothers died. Yes, I can sacrifice myself for the ideal of conquering the imperial capital and ousting the emperor from the throne, but I will not accept the betrayal of my own people. Bone Ghost, stop for me. Stop. Stop it for us." Countless ghost thugs who were blended into the ghost demon showed ferocious faces, roared fiercely, and began to frantically fight for control of this deformed body, in an attempt to stop this brain-blind subject. The roar grew louder and louder. Resounded from the top of the mountain. This moment, the pace of ghost evil slowed down a lot. As the leader, the Bone Ghost angrily rebuked, "You cowards, what a noble mission it is to sacrifice for the master. If I slap it down, that man will die. Even if there is a supernatural cost, he is dead, and how can he replace him? How many of us will die? The rest of consciousness? Are you talking in human language? Do I have any ideas on how to capture that man without hurting him? I didn't expect you to think about killing the other person. Grass. It's true that after drinking some wine, you don't know how many eyes Lord Ma has. Hear this." The conscious bodies that were not planning to resist at first also scrambled to fight for control of the body. The exposed faces were extremely ferocious and terrifying. For a while, the ghost's speed is getting slower and slower. Less than 10 meters away from Shenjian, who was almost within easy reach, he stopped completely. The body was also shaking violently. A large number of exposed ghost bandits began to try to escape from this body. Some of them were so angry that they swam to the Bone Ghost's position. With angry expressions on their faces, they opened their big mouths and began to bite the Bone Ghost's face. The body of Ghost Demon is becoming increasingly unstable. Ghost limbs kept falling down. See this. The face of the corpse ghost changed slightly. The product of forcible kneading is indeed not stable enough. There is even a problem of fighting for dominance and control. Under normal circumstances, the experimental masterpiece he combined would only have one absolute dominant consciousness, and no one could influence it. And this ghost evil spirit may have been in too much of a hurry. Even if he used supernatural powers, he still left obvious loopholes. Certainly. The most important thing is fear. This group of ghost bandits were frightened by Shenjian. He didn't dare to touch Shenjian at all, so he developed such a strong desire to survive and began to backfire on his dominant consciousness. Think of this. The corpses, ghosts, and gods are preparing to remedy the situation. Boom. There was a crackling sound. In shock, he looked around and saw that the ghost demon had exploded like a balloon. A large number of stumps, broken arms, heads, and organs were sputtered out. Like a rain of corpses. Shenjian. Corpse ghost. Group of ghosts. Everyone was stunned. The corners of his mouth couldn't stop twitching. Are you really afraid of exploding on the spot? Damn it! How scared are you? If I had slapped you with just one palm, most of you might have died, but it would be better than all of you dying now. You guys are really awesome clowns. Actually, 5,000 ghosts were lost for this reason. You deserve to be at the top of the top 10 funny people in Qing dynasty. The corpse ghosts and gods were also a little unable to hold on. I was almost so angry that my eyes turned black. My back molars are almost broken. This group of guys who failed in success but failed in failure wasted his opportunity. It was a mixture of 5,000 ghost bandits, and the ghost demon that could resist him in a short period of time actually exploded out of fear. He never thought in his life that one of his men would die in such a way. Immediately, his eyes fell on the remaining 5,000 ghost bandits. The ghost bandits staying in Hutu Mountain are the core secret of Chixiao section. There are only more than 10,000 people in total, and the rest are all scattered in Jade City. In other words, this is already the last reserve strength of Hutishan. Once he fails again, he will face the risk of facing Shenjian alone. To be honest, he didn't want to face off. At the same time, the remaining 5,000 ghost bandits also saw the eyes of the leader looking at them. Even a fool knows at this time that the boss plans to repeat his old trick and turn them into ghosts. Think of this. The ghosts were terrified. But it was too late. As the corpse ghosts and gods raised their hands again, the remaining 5,000 ghost bandits were once again blended together, and this time, the second master was also blended in. Use the body of a ghost to occupy the dominant position of this ghost. In this way, you can completely control this ghost within a certain period of time. Second brother, don't worry. You know my abilities. You should also know that I am favored by God and can always turn danger into safety. And you who are closest to me are also loved ones. Even if you die in my place, you will definitely the last one. Corpse ghosts and gods encouraged people. The second boss. What you said is totally nonsense. Are you afraid that I don't know that you want me to die? Even if the other party's substitute was really lucky and didn't choose me, after all the conscious bodies in Gisha were replaced, I was still going to die. Fortunately, there is an egg to use. When the attack turns into a group damage, the luck is at most just a delay in death. But I have to say, he was still a little moved. Because the luck of corpses, ghosts, and gods is so damn good. The kind that even if you encounter a fatal crisis, someone will come to help you at the critical moment. He saw this more than once. If the luck of the corpse ghosts and gods can still take effect and save the day, then it will really be a big loss if they run away. And he happened to know that a reinforcement was not far away. That is the city lord of Jade City. It was also a ghost and god, but nothing compared to the corpse ghost and god. If the two of them join forces, and add him as an unstable ghost, they will have 3 existences approaching the world-destroying level ghosts and gods. Such a lineup, even against Qing Emperor, the legendary world-destroying level ghosts and gods, will be able to defeat them. Just contend with 1 or 2. It shouldn't be a problem to restrain Shenjian. With this thought, the second master snorted coldly and suppressed the turbulent consciousness in his body. Ready to try Shenjian's skills. A minute ago, he was so confident. 1 minute later, he was stunned, staring blankly at the sky. As Shenjian raised his hand, bright lightning burst out from his eyes, and electric snakes lingered all over his body. The next second, the sky was covered with clouds, and dense thunder echoed through the sky. A 4-color thunder pool flashing with white light, purple lightning, golden light, and silver glow surged in the void. White Taxiao thunder, purple Tai thunder, golden Taiji thunder, silver Gang thunder, the 4 colors of thunder are combined into one, which is called Lafazifu. Are there any reinforcements? If there are none, we should say goodbye, otherwise we will delay each other. Shen Jian had a joking smile on his face. He was in no hurry to take action. I want to see if there are any reinforcements. It would be best to deal with them all at once. It's convenient for the eldest princess, and it's convenient for him too. The words have fallen. Boom 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 boom. Deafening thunder exploded in the sky, and 4 colors of divine light filled the world, just like the end of the world. This moment, the second boss, who originally wanted to try Shen Jian's skills, stayed where he was. Even the control over body control has been forgotten. But the weird thing is that no conscious body took advantage of it and fought for control, but just watched all of this blankly. My dear mother! Who the hell dares to take control of Guisha? As the dominant consciousness of Guisha, all the harm suffered by Guisha is shared by all consciousness bodies, but the pain caused by the injury is exclusive to the dominant consciousness. If you seize control of your body at this time, wouldn't you just be used as cannon fodder? Who the hell would be stupid enough to steal it at this time? At this time, a ghost conscious body suddenly discovered, Second Master, why are you squeezing over to my side? Your position is in the middle, you are the dominant ghost, why are you always hiding around me? Yes, second boss, you have to lead us to overcome difficulties. Second Master, we believe in you, you are the best. A group of consciousnesses began to encourage each other. Love each other. Compared with the previous ghost who was having internal strife and exploding on the spot, it was simply too harmonious. Those who didn't know, thought that the second master was so virtuous and respected that he had subdued all the more than 5,000 ghost bandits. Not a moment. They fixed the second boss to the position of dominant consciousness, which is the center of the face. The second boss. You fools, you really can't help but follow the wind. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 736. The majestic thunder light reflected on the face, and the 4 colors of light echoed each other, rendering Hutu Mountain into a daytime scene. Its halo range is so wide that it radiates hundreds of thousands of miles away. Even the people in Jade City could clearly see this brilliant scene. Like a doomsday disaster. Everyone is horrified. I just feel that in the distant sky, there is a thunder pool emitting 4 colors of divine light that is about to collapse. Even though it is several kilometers away, the roar of thunder clouds and the roar of thunder beasts can still be heard. Just listening to it gave them an inexplicable fear. Ghosts belong to yin and thunder belongs to yang. Of all the means that can cause harm to ghosts, thunder is the most majestic and violent, the most damaging, and the most feared by ghosts. That direction is Hutu Mountain. A ghost in the city pointed this out. The direction in which the thunder pool in the sky fell seemed to be Hutu Mountain on the outskirts of Jade City, where the Chixiao sect was located. What happened there? Are those ghost bandits who have committed many evil deeds and are receiving retribution? Soon. The people in the city saw vicious-looking ghosts rushing out of the city gate and rushing towards Hutu Mountain. Those people are members of the Chixiao sect stationed in Jade City. They are gathering in all directions. The momentum is equally astonishing. The other side. Dazzling thunder flashed. The only surviving second master of Hutu Mountain, the first master, was staring at the thunder pool in the sky, and then his eyes fell on Shen Feng, who was surrounded by thunder snakes, with deep shock in his eyes. Is this a humming ghost? Too old. Which ghost can shine with lightning all over his body and control a thunder pool to collapse? Isn't this funny? Even if you try this method, you can't summon this level of thunder. If they hadn't been concerned about their identity and face, they would have even knelt down on the spot and surrendered to the illusion of this glorious divine power. Especially the second master, although he occupies the dominant consciousness of the ghost bandits, the consciousness of more than 5,000 ghost bandits in his body exudes fear all the time. Most of those ghost bandits are at the red level. There was an endless gap between him and the ghosts and gods, and the lightning flashes in the sky made his heart palpitate even when he saw them, let alone this group of ghost bandits. Under the influence of those people, his own consciousness was constantly sending out impulses for him to kneel down. And, while controlling his body, he wanted to crawl down towards Shenjian. It seems that only in this way can the fear in their hearts be reduced. At this time, as the head of the family, the corpse ghost god suddenly sneered. "Second brother, don't be afraid of him. He is deceiving us. Think about it, which ghost have you ever seen that can summon thunder? With such amazing thunder lingering around him, the person who wants to die the most is himself, but look, is there anything wrong with him?" His expression was very relaxed, as if he had seen through Shenjian's trick. Looking at the doubtful look from the second boss, with an expression like "I don't study well, don't lie to me," the corpse ghost continued. "His supernatural power is a curse that transfers damage. Even if he steals the supernatural power of other ghosts, do you think he can maximize the effect like his own supernatural power? If he had such an ability, why did he let a woman protect him? And why didn't he activate the thunder in the sky immediately, but chose to kill himself and let us die instead? Have you thought about this?" The eyes of the corpse ghosts and gods shone with wisdom, and they acted like they believe in the Big Brother. "Finally draw a conclusion. In my opinion, the price of this guy's activation of a supernatural power is very high, and he cannot fight continuously, so he will be indifferent to the attack of ghosts. And this time, because of your intention to test, he can only use such a blinding method to deter you. He is already strong on the outside but powerful on the inside." As soon as these words came out, many ghost consciousnesses hesitated. This seems to make sense. Otherwise, why didn't that man take action for a long time, but just watched quietly? Such a massive thunder pool may be able to destroy more than a third of Hutu Mountain in one blow. If it hits a few more times, even world-destroying ghosts and gods may not be able to withstand it. But how could such a thing exist in this world? If this person is more terrifying than a world-destroying ghost or god, then why is he unknown? How could he just sit back and watch this deep ghost realm be occupied by the Qing kingdom? Think of this. All the consciousnesses believed what the great master said. They all showed ferocious looks again. Do you have anything else to say? At this time, everyone's eyes were on Shenjian. Shenjian. See this. There was a strange flash in Shenjian's eyes. Think about it. His expression changed slightly, but he calmed down without leaving any trace. He said in a tough tone, "You can give it a try. If you don't believe in evil, just come closer to me and see if it's my thunder that's faster or yours." Hear the words. The ghost was overjoyed. This man is exactly what the corpse ghost said. He only knows how to talk, but he doesn't dare to cause thunder to fall. Otherwise, there is no way to talk nonsense with him, just hit him with a thunder blow. This clearly shows that he is in love with his wife. The second master instinctively sensed that something was wrong, but the attitudes of the ghost consciousnesses made his thoughts confused, and he instinctively took a step forward. This was still testing Shenjian's attitude. The result was, Shenjian was indifferent, but his face suddenly turned ugly, and a trace of panic flashed in his eyes, which quickly dissipated. Then, Guisha took 2 more tentative steps. Shenjian still didn't move, but his fists were clenched. See this. Guisha became even more excited. It's okay to be provocative like this. It seems that this man is at the end of his strength, as the leader said. The current scene of destruction is just a trick. Think of this. Guisha's consciousness has surpassed the second master and issued a clarion call to charge. The next second, Follow Shen Jian's finger. Boom. The thunder roared loudly. The thunder pool above the sky collapsed. Swallowed one of Guisha's arms. Just a moment. The arm composed of countless ghost bandits disappeared in an instant. Guisha. He was confused. Countless eyes were wide-eyed. Damn it! Can you really cause thunder to fall when you step on a horse? Then you just made things difficult for me. You are the devil. Subconsciously. The consciousness of Guisha looked at the corpse ghost and God. Eyeballs rolling. As if to say, didn't you say this is fake? Why did it become true? Corpse ghost. There was a forced smile on his face. MMP is also in my heart. How can this be? Under normal circumstances, if this person still retains such ability, then he has no chance to escape, but, this shouldn't be the case. He is the son of luck protected by the Qing dynasty's national destiny. He should be able to turn danger into safety and get another chance. But now all the facts are telling him that he has no chance. He will die. If he doesn't take action and the next thunderbolt strikes, he is likely to follow in the footsteps of others and become a corpse in Hudishan. He didn't believe it. As a son of fate, how could he be abandoned so easily? Then, the corpse ghost ignored the ghost, turned around and ran away. My wife is about to give birth, please say goodbye. Say it. He disappeared. Guisha. He was slightly startled. Your wife? Your special thing is a skeleton. Where did you get your wife? Do you have the capital to get your wife pregnant? You are just a dog, so you have the nerve to use such a lame excuse. Where was that extremely confident look you had just now? Do you want to be so cowardly? Guisha was stunned. Looking at Shen Jian's teasing expression, he also laughed dryly. Ahem, his wife is going to give birth. The child is mine, and I have to go and see it. The words are not finished yet. Guisha also plans to escape completely. If Hudishan encountered such a live cub, it was completely over. If you don't want to be buried with someone, run as far as you can. However, a four-color thunder struck down. Half of the ghost's body disappeared. The whole ghost also fell to the ground. He looked very miserable. But at this time, it was too late for him to scream, and he kept wailing, "Brother, I was forced to. We were forced to go to Liangshan and were forced to become ghost bandits by the evil master. Give us a chance, we want to be good ghosts." Old God Shen Jian asked, "Am I very old?" Hear this. Guisha was shocked. With this tone, it seems like there is still a chance. If you really want to kill them, there is no need to say more, just kill them. Are these words meant to be gentle? Did this guy believe their pleas for mercy? Immediately, Guisha cried bitterly and said, "Brother, you really dare to scream? I don't like it." Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The fingers dropped casually. Under Guisha's horrified gaze, a thick, violent, and destructive four-color thunder light first filled their sights. They heard only thunder and then nothing else. Shen Jian looked as usual. Gently past each other. He took a step forward, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of the corpse ghost and god. At this time, the corpse ghosts and gods are about to leave Huda Mountain. He was regretting it in his heart. I regret why I covered Huda Mountain. And prohibiting access to ghost areas. Although he arranged the ghost realm that enveloped Huda Mountain, he was also within the limits. Because this is a multi-layered ghost land. Even if he wanted to lift it, it would take about 10 seconds. Under normal circumstances, 10 seconds is not considered time at all, but now, the time difference of 10 seconds is enough to become the key to deciding his life or death. He didn't dare to gamble on this possibility. You can only escape from this place in the stupidest way possible. And his destination is Jade City. There is his second base there, as well as the Lord of Jade City and hundreds of thousands of people. He can create an army of ghosts in batches along the way to delay Shen Jian's footsteps. As long as you give him time to breathe, with his supernatural powers, he will be able to make a comeback soon. Even without the help of the third prince, he could still rise. Just thinking about it? The face of the corpse ghost suddenly froze. Because right in front, a figure crossed over. Just like that, he was on his inevitable path. It was Shen Jian. Why are you running? Can I still eat you? Shen Jian said with a smile. Corpse ghost. He raised his head and glanced at the thunder pool following from the sky, feeling despair in his heart. If you have the ability, you can make this thing disappear first. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 737. At the foot of Hudu Mountain. The corpse ghost looked desperately at Shen Jian, who was standing in front of him with a smile on his face. At another time, if someone blocked his way like this, he would mercilessly turn them into skeletons and crush their bones into ashes, but now, he gave up. Looking at the following destructive thunder pool above the sky, he couldn't help but feel a little despair in his heart. He is the majestic head of the Chixiao sect, and his terrifying level is close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods. He also has the supernatural power to create an army of ghosts. He also has an army of 10,000 elite ghost bandits that can rival the Ghost King, as well as a group of top subordinates above the Ghost King. In terms of lineup, the members of his Hudu Mountain and Chixiao sect in Jade City have barely reached the standard of a 6-star supernatural land. Looking at the entire Qing Kingdom, no, looking at the entire deep-level ghost realm where it is located, he is also the only independent super-large supernatural lord who can survive until now under the encirclement and suppression of the Qing Kingdom, right? In his plan, it only takes 5 years for him to secretly prepare the foundation to conquer the Qingguo city and support war through war. And the results are going in the direction he hoped for. But now, all is lost. A 6-star supernatural place was destroyed because of an outsider. All the ghosts in the village were slaughtered, and he was the only one left. And he was also stopped. The entire army was wiped out. The late emperor died halfway through his business venture. How could he accept such an ending? Looking at Shen Jian, the corpse ghost let out an unpleasant scream. Who are you? We should have no grudges. No grudge. Shen Jian shook his head. Then why are you trying to kill them all? The corpse ghost said unwillingly. You can't kill people for fun if you don't have any hatred. Shen Jian tilted his head. Corpse ghost. Hear this. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. God is really killing me for fun. What does it have to do with you if I destroy you? You are too much of a dog. If you clearly give me a reason not to give up, I can at least force myself to accept failure. But if he really destroyed this place casually for fun, then he felt that he would not be able to rest in peace until he died. He would get up in the middle of the night, grab Shen Jian's collar and slap him a few times to see if he still lost his mind. Real? He asked without giving up. Shen Jian smiled and said, of course it's fake. I'm not a bad person. How could I do such a crazy thing? Corpse ghost? The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. I thought of the more than 10,000 men who died in Hudu Mountain. Gan. If it weren't for the lack of confidence, I would really want to tear my mouth into pieces. Open your mouth and come. Sure enough, bad people will not openly say that they are bad, but will package themselves. What do you want? I can give you whatever you want. Look, I'm no longer a threat to you. Let me go. Just say whatever you need. There really is something, Shen Jian said. Where are the letters and contact information between you and the third prince in recent years? Hear this. The corpse ghost was slightly startled. Then his pupils shrank. Do you know about his dealings with the third prince? Could it be that this person is here for this matter? But except for a few ghosts and gods who are his opponents in Qing Kingdom, there shouldn't be anyone who can single-handedly destroy a 6-star supernatural place. Among those people, there was definitely no Shen Jian. Then whose person is he? Who can drive such a terrifying existence? For a while, his thoughts slowed down for a moment. But then I thought about it. A dead Taoist friend is not a poor Taoist. Now Hutu Mountain has ceased to exist in name only, and all the effective forces used to fight for hegemony over the Qing Kingdom have been wiped out by Shen Jian. The three princes have lost their role to him. Will it have any impact if I betray it again? Think of this. The bone ghost god immediately said, in my place, the records from the first time the third prince came to me and said that he would provide me with ghost weapons to arm my subordinates to the most recent handover of resources are all here. While talking, he took out a booklet. At the same time, he did not forget to say, this must be true. In order to prevent the third prince from secretly making an explosion, I personally recorded these things. There is absolutely no mistake. If they are published, the third prince's reputation will be ruined. Shen Jian took the booklet. I glanced at it casually. Somewhat shocking. Because in addition to the transportation of resources every 3 months, there is also a large number of human transactions. Basically, the third prince used his secret guards to continuously arrest people in cities far away from the imperial capital, and then transported them out through secret channels. Some of them were sold as slaves, and some were traded for organs. No wonder the ghost bandits in Hutishan basically don't rob homes. It turns out they have a more profitable business. If these were announced, the third prince would indeed be doomed. It will cool down completely. Even if the forces behind him want to protect him, they may not be able to do anything. See this. Shen Jian put it away with satisfaction. There was also a bit of joy on the face of the corpse ghost god, and he hesitated and said, Your Excellency, since your goal has been achieved, I will leave now, and I will give you this Hutu mountain. Shen Jian glanced at him. There is one more thing. I can give you anything you need. Very good, take out the dragon energy from your body. As soon as these words came out, the skeletal face of the corpse ghost and god immediately fell into a state of laughter. His eyes began to dodge. I don't know what I'm thinking. Sir, I don't know what you are talking about. It's okay if you don't know. Come over here and I'll get it myself. Shen Jian grinned. Regardless of whether the corpse, ghost, or god is willing, he directly stretches out his big hand of cattail leaf fan and wants to clasp it on the opponent. The next second, the corpses, ghosts, and gods fled. With an extremely ugly face, he yelled, This is not enough, this is mine. His tone turned sinister. His eyes were full of madness. He can give anything, but not dragon energy. That was the guarantee for him to settle down and live. Without the dragon chi, he would have lost his greatest capital, and he would also lose the luck of turning danger into safety in the future, which he absolutely could not accept. Without dragon energy, he would have died countless times. Now, Shen Jian's attempt to snatch his dragon energy was equivalent to killing him. While talking, he ran towards the foot of the mountain. For the current plan, he only had one idea left: escape from here, reach Jade City, and delay time. Shen Jian looked as usual. The big hand is still covering it. Although they were dozens of meters away, he put his hand on the neck of the corpse ghost and said with a cold expression, Do you think I am negotiating with you? I am ordering you to hand it over. The words fell. A roaring little golden dragon was pulled out of the corpse ghost's body and fell into Shen Jian's hands. No. That's mine. The bones, ghosts, gods, and eyes are about to burst. The terrifying supernatural beings that are infinitely close to the world-destroying ghosts and gods swept out, and they stretched out to snatch back the dragon energy. Shen Jian glanced at him. Kicked him up. Then his eyes fell on the golden dragon energy in his hand, and his face couldn't help but show a bit of excitement. His guess was not wrong. The quality of this dragon's energy is enough to match the quantity of 3 dragons' energy. Although compared with the real 3 dragon auras, it can only be regarded as an incomplete version, but there is no problem in saying that it is equivalent to 2 complete dragon auras. In other words, he has now collected 8 dragon energy. Next moment. Affected by this dragon energy, the other 6 dragon energy in Shen Jian's body also flew out, and 7 golden dragons lingered in the palm of his hand. It looks very spectacular. Corpse ghosts and gods. See this scene. He was confused. What did he see? There are actually 6 dragon auras in this man. How can this be? How did he collect it? How many such dragon auras are there? In the past, he had suspected that there were other people in Qingguo who also had dragon energy, but no matter how he searched, he could not find anyone with a similar experience to him. I didn't expect that this man had so much dragon energy. If the effect of dragon energy is the same, then he knows why he can't save the day. In front of another son of luck with better luck, he can only be regarded as a son of false luck at best. It is normal for luck not to be on his side. Look at it this way. The reason why this man has such terrifying strength, and can even control the thunder that is in conflict with the ghosts, is all due to these dragon energies. If he could grab these dragon energy, Emperor Qing might not be able to do anything to him. Think of this. The corpse ghost climbed up from the ground, its eyes full of greed and fire. Of course, there is more fear and horror. Just now, Shen Jian grabbed his throat with one hand, and he lost the ability to resist. He only felt that 99% of his supernatural powers were suppressed, and the remaining half was just enough to maintain the Ghost King level. Such oppression is terrible. He almost couldn't believe that it was Shen Jian who did it. Because there has never been any supernatural power that can suppress the enemy 99%. Even if there is, it is the suppression of lower levels by higher levels. And he is a fierce ghost who is infinitely close to the world-destroying ghost and god. What level of terror does it take to suppress him like this? World-destroying ghosts and gods? No. Above the world-destroying level ghosts and gods. Does that really exist? Thinking. A majestic voice sounded like thunder. You are so brave to come to my Jade City to kill people. There was a loud shout, and the shadow of the sword exploded. The dark sword fell smoothly here. A majestic man who was not majestic but angry came here holding a black sword. The black sword had an irregular shape. Scarlet eyes opened from the black sword and spread to the majestic man's right arm. It looked like the sword was borne on the man's right hand. At the same time, many people from Jade City who were watching also rushed over. They were all attracted by the scene of destruction just now, and they all wanted to know what happened in Hutu Mountain. And the majestic man holding a black sword is clearly the Lord of Jade City. Everyone had already expected the appearance of the city lord. After all, anyone with some strength knows that the Lord of Jade City has a sworn relationship with the head of Hutu Mountain, and they are colluding with each other. They use the name of Hutu Mountain to search for supernatural objects for themselves. Now that something happened in Hutu Mountain, the other party would naturally come to help. Just when the ghosts were expecting the conflict between the Lord of the Jade City and Shen Jian, the Lord of the Jade City paused and changed his tone of voice. But, I, the city lord, have long been dissatisfied with the ghost bandits in Hutu Mountain. I just feel powerless. My friend, what you have done is really doing justice for heaven, and you have done a great job. Ghosts? Corpse ghost. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 738. Everyone present was stunned when they heard the change of attitude of the Lord of Jade City. There was an incredible look in his eyes. Somewhat confused. God does justice for heaven. Isn't it you, the city lord, who is colluding with Hudishan and colluding with officials and bandits? What you are saying now is like humming farts. The eyes of the ghosts flickered. They all thought of something. Is the Jade City Lord showing weakness? Want to draw a clear line with Hudishan? This is a feudal official. The first-grade minister who controls all affairs in Jade City has a high status that not many people in the entire Qing kingdom can match. Such a being would actually show weakness? Could it be that the world-destroying thunder pool just now was real? How can this be? The pupils of the Ghost Kings shrank suddenly. They had indeed rushed over after seeing the movement, but they were both afraid and unable to believe the shocking scene just now. In their opinion, there is no one in this world who can cause rolling thunder. Even if this person is Emperor Qing of Qing Kingdom and a legendary world-destroying ghost and god, it will be difficult for him to do all this. More than anything else, they suspected that the scene was an hallucination caused by the ghost realm. However, Jade City Lord's words made them startled and suspicious. If it was just a ghost domain, how could the Lord of Jade City behave like this? His relationship with the head of Hutu Mountain is almost known to everyone. At this critical moment, shouldn't he choose to help the head of Hutu Mountain to kill the enemy together? Confusion lingers in these people's minds. The other side. The majestic man, the Lord of the Jade City, expressed his position righteously. I already regretted it in my heart. He came here in the end to help the boss of Hutu Mountain. After all, the other party holds a lot of evidence of his corruption and collecting supernatural things. He is also worried that if something goes wrong with the big boss, he will lose a cash cow in the future. Of course, the more important thing is that he does not think Hudishan will lose. It was a battle that was sure to win and establish authority. He had no reason not to brush his face and brush his position. But what did he just see? Others may not be able to sense it, but as a being who is also infinitely close to the world-destroying ghost and god, he can clearly detect that the entire Hutu Mountain has no supernatural reaction. This shows that the members of the Chixiao sect in Hutu Mountain have been wiped out. As the head of the family, the corpse ghost god has been unable to do anything to that strange man until now. He has known the corpse ghosts and gods for many years, and he clearly knows that if given the chance, the strange man will never look so carefree, but will be more embarrassed and miserable. Even if both sides suffer losses, he can stand unswervingly on the side of Hudishan. But what he saw was that Shen Jian was unharmed. There is only one possibility for this to happen. The corpse ghosts and gods can't do anything to the intruders, and they can't even affect the enemies. Therefore, he changed his tune. That strange man was by no means a good person. His level of terror was at least on the same level as that of corpses, ghosts, and gods, or even higher. Otherwise, the corpses, ghosts and gods would not be so afraid. In this case, Hudishan completely lost its use value to him, and he could only leave by putting aside his position. He believed that Shen Jian was not willing to have one more enemy. With this thought, he decisively sold the bones and ghosts. But the next second, Shen Jian waved his hand and said, "You are the Lord of Jade City, right? But what are you talking about? I don't agree with you. Jade City Lord? Ghosts? Hear this." They were stunned for a moment, showing great astonishment. "What the hell are you doing? Can't you tell that the Lord of Jade City is planning to give up the corpse ghosts and gods to give you a face? You are not good at reading comprehension." The atmosphere at the scene was silent for a moment. The Lord of Jade City came back to his senses and said subconsciously, "What do you mean?" Shen Jian pointed at the corpse of the ghost and said righteously, "I heard that he is your friend, and the relationship is irreversible. Is this how you watch your friend die? Even if he is wrong in every way, it should be handled by you, the city lord. Instead of letting a stranger kill him casually. If so, who would dare to be friends with you? If it were me, even if the underworld made a mistake, it should be executed by the underworld, instead of allowing others to be cruel and damage the majesty of my underworld. For the sake of your majesty as the city lord, you shouldn't let me go like this. You should say, even if my friend is at fault, it's not the reason for you to knock on me." Shen Jian talked eloquently. He looks like a chicken soup spiritual guru. Group of Ghosts. 999. Awesome Plus. Your brain circuit has surpassed 99% of the ghosts in the world. You shouldn't stay here. You should go find a doctor. Damn it, this is the first time I heard such a perverted request. He actually asked someone to beat him. Think of this. All the Ghost Kings showed expressions of watching a good show. A generation of frontier officials took the initiative to show weakness, but the other party didn't appreciate it at all. What's the difference between riding a horse and sticking a hot face into a cold butt? Anyone who is a bit bloody knows how to get angry at this time. What's more, there is an existence that is extremely close to the world-destroying ghost and god. This city lord was once known as a sword ghost. His black sword has the ability to dismember supernatural beings, isolate supernatural beings, and cut off all invisible supernatural effects. Especially the latter, in the eyes of the city lord, all supernatural attacks can be seen. Even invisible supernatural attacks that rely on sounds, curses, and consciousness can be seen and cut off. Under the black sword, it is almost supernaturally invulnerable. At the moment, Shen Jian's statement was undoubtedly forcing the city lord to take action. Once the action is taken, with the two existences that are infinitely close to world-destroying ghosts and gods joining forces, can Shen Jian still have a chance to survive? Most of the ghosts looked at Shen Jian with pity and disdain, as if they were looking at a dead person. If there are steps, you can't go down without stepping on your nose and face. He deserves to die. Most people like this who don't know how to restrain themselves and provoke again and again will not live long. In their opinion, the Lord of Jade City would rise up and attack in the next second, uniting with the corpses, ghosts, and gods to kill Shen Jian. 1 minute later. Different from what everyone imagined, the Lord of Jade City not only did not explode, but fell silent. Damn it! Why are you silent? You are a dignified city lord, a first-class minister of the Qing kingdom, and a terrifying ghost and god. You just let others provoke you and choose to remain indifferent? It's too fake. Where is your pride as a ghost? What about the majesty of being a first-class minister? What about your self-esteem as the Lord of Jade City? The ghosts were puzzled. The Lord of Jade City ignored the looks of these people. The facial muscles twitched slightly. He also didn't expect that after he clearly told the steps, Shen Jian Timiao would use his eloquence to make their relationship tense again. He also made a perverted request, "Don't let me go. Grass. Please let me go, really." In his eyes, Shen Jian's appearance was filled with endless resentment, the kind of resentment that can only be acquired by killing a lot of people. Looking inside, all you can see is nothingness. In nothingness, a dark pupil opened. Eternal, sacred, majestic, and vast, he could not even think of resisting. He didn't know what it was, but he knew that it had something to do with Shen Jian. Once he takes action, he will definitely not be the opponent of Nether Eyes. Immediately, the Lord of Jade City trembled with excitement, restrained the angle of view uploaded by the black sword, and suddenly said, "Little brother, there is something wrong with your words. My friend has done something that is harmful to nature, Can't others punish the evil and punish the evil? Does evil punish good? For the sake of justice, I am willing to send him to death. Corpse Ghost? Gan. You know how to harvest faith when riding a horse. Are you trying to throw stones at me with your life? Why didn't you realize before that you, a thick-browed man with big eyes, are also a teller of lies? Hear the words. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. You are, quite adaptable. Looking at the Jade City Lord who almost bowed his head, Shen Jian lost interest. He is only interested in the kind of ghosts who like to fight stubbornly. He has no shortage of such ghosts, so naturally he is not very interested. Then, Shen Jian turned his attention to the corpse ghost and God again. Grinning, Master, I am destroying your territory, killing your people, and robbing you of your things. You should be very angry. Do you want to bite me to death? Corpse Ghost. He bit his back molar, and you really knew that you had done so many evil things. He looked at Shen Jian, restrained his anger, and gritted his teeth and said, I said I'm not angry, will you let me go? Won't. Shen Jian shook his head sincerely. The words fell. The corpses, ghosts, and gods disappeared in place. There was also a roar left in the sky, you go too far to bully ghosts, don't give me a chance to make a comeback, otherwise I won't let you go. The next second, Shen Jian also disappeared. A few minutes later, Shen Jian reappeared. In his hand was a corpse that was so charred that it was impossible to distinguish its appearance. At this time, everyone on the field fell silent. Everyone knew that the corpse that even the parents couldn't tell was the corpse of a ghost. An existence that was infinitely close to being a world-destroying ghost and God ended up like this. Where did this man come from? Just thinking about it? Shen Jian had already waved to the Lord of Jade City. You have seen everything about Hutu Mountain, right? Use your power to expose this matter. I will report this matter back to the imperial capital in the shortest possible time. Hear this. The Lord of Jade City smiled bitterly. He naturally saw the Ministry of Industry standard ghost weapons all over the mountains and plains, but because of this, he didn't want to wade into this muddy water. Only. He glanced at the corpses of ghosts and gods that were worse than dead dogs and felt like crying. He didn't dare refuse. Brother, Your Excellency, may I ask, for which prince are you doing all this? Although he didn't study the relationship between Hutishan and the third prince in detail, he knew something about it. And everything Shen Jian did expressed one thing, I am the patron of a certain prince, and I want to eliminate the third prince. Shen Jian glanced at him. It's so narrow-minded. Who said that only the prince can seize the throne? What? The Jade City Lord's eyes twitched. Not a prince. For the first time, he thought of one person, the eldest princess. Yes, it's the one you thought of. From today on, you are one of them. Are you sure? The corners of Shen Jian's lips curled up. Do you know what our plan is? What is it? Raised by the queen. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 739. Qingguo Imperial Capital. The day after solving Hutishan, Shen Jian had already rushed back. Open the game panel skillfully. Hidden plot mission, the wrath of the Evernight King. Conditions, collect the 9 dragon energy scattered in Qingguo. Current progress, 8/9. See here. A strong smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. Originally, he still needed 3 dragon chi to obtain the complete authority of Zhoujuyan Tian Palace. Unexpectedly, the leader of Hutu Mountain unexpectedly started the route of fighting for hegemony and nourished the 1 dragon chi in him to the point where he could be called the total of 3 dragon chi. Quantity. In the judgment of horror games, this dragon spirit can surpass 2. In other words, now, he only needs one piece from Emperor Qing's hand to have complete Luo Fengtian authority. Shen Jian pondered for a moment. According to the information he has, the dragon energy of Emperor Qing's royal family is located in the jade seal of the country, and it is an exclusive thing that can only be used by the king of a country. Only Emperor Qing knew the whereabouts of the imperial seal. Even Her Royal Highness the Princess and the Prince did not know where this supernatural object, which symbolized the emperor's identity, was hidden. They only know that whoever can get the imperial seal will be protected by King Guo, and whoever will be the orthodox future emperor. I didn't think about it for a few minutes. A crunch. Princess Milan pushed open the study door of Jinho Mansion with ease. Before she opened her mouth, she saw Shen Jian giving up a corner of the chair, as if gesturing for her to sit here. The eldest princess said amusedly, 10,000 steps back, after all, I am also the eldest daughter of the emperor of the Qing kingdom, and you are entertaining me like this? How can two people sit in such a small position? Said. She gave Shen Jian a sideways look, but still walked over, but instead of sitting on the other side as Shen Jian pointed out, she leaned against the long desk. Looked at Shen Jian quietly. The next second, Shen Jian lifted the eldest princess and made her sit on the desk, exposing her 10 white and tender little feet, placing them on his lap and playing with them wantonly. From time to time, he would knead her a few times and poke the soft part of her solace. This sudden stimulation made the eldest princess's 10 toes curl up like silkworm babies. Don't make trouble. As the eldest princess of a country, she had never exposed such a private part as her toes, let alone had her feet played with by a man. At this time, she felt itchy and ashamed. He could only touch Shen Jian's thigh with his foot in shame, indicating that his behavior was abnormal. However, the eldest princess forgot that her feet were placed on Shen Jian's thighs and touched them forward. That moment, both of them were stunned. Especially the eldest princess, she was stunned for a moment, and then her whole face turned a bit pink. She was not a child, so she naturally understood what it was just now. But she didn't expect that she would encounter him by accident. This made her feel ashamed. I just felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere. But she really didn't mean it. And she was here to talk about business. Then Princess Milan subconsciously retracted her jade feet. The next second, with quick eyes and quick hands, Shen Jian caught the 10 white and tender little feet that slipped away. There was something strange in his eyes. Your Highness, do you want to give it a try? Try, what are you trying? Don't mess around. Hooking up with the princess is a capital crime. Besides, I came here today to talk to you about business. Business is important. The eldest princess's eyes dodge. Those pair of water-cut autumn eyes were full of entanglement. Compared with her usual majesty, her image can be said to be in the sky and on the earth. Try a trick you've never thought of. Said. Shen Jian grabbed the eldest princess's jade foot that was about to move and placed it. Your Highness, you can try your control over your toes. This will be very helpful in cultivating your body's coordination. Shen Jian used the words of ghosts and gods to exert some temptation. You humans are so perverted. Princess Milan muttered a few words. Her elegant face was so red that it looked like it was about to bleed. Looking at Shen Jian's fiery and excited expression, she gritted her teeth, feeling both ashamed and a little happy inside. Needless to say, I am ashamed. She had never thought that there would be such tricks without engaging in marital affairs. To her, this was too out of character. However, Shen Jian's fiery eyes made her feel faintly happy again. This shows that she has a great charm for Shen Jian. Even if there is no pleasure, just a little special reward can make Shen Jian's heart yearn for it. Your Highness, you need to practice your toes and the solace of your feet occasionally, so that you can fully cover them and have a coordinated effect. Shen Jian started to guide. Talk too much. Princess Milan scolded. Like a self-taught person, I pinched lightly with my big toe and second toe. So tired. The eldest princess complained. Shen Jian glanced at her beautiful lips and wanted to say something, but in the end he swallowed it. Although his friendship with the eldest princess has reached 85 points, for the eldest princess who has never tried anything between men and women, accepting this is the limit, and trying to use other positions may be counterproductive. If you want to try something else, you have to try it a few more times to let the other person get used to it. Think about it. Shen Jian said, Your Highness, what did you want to say to me just now? You still know how to ask this. Princess Milan's toes were still moving, but her attention had been diverted. She muttered a few times and lightly opened her red lips, For those things you did in Jade City, the fastest news has arrived in the imperial capital. I'm afraid it won't be used in 2 days, there will be huge waves in the court. Oh, what's there? Shen Jian did not doubt the source of the eldest princess's information, so he asked with interest. Basically, it was about the news about the destruction of Huda Mountain. The Lord of Jade City personally sent back the news, saying that a mysterious man had destroyed the Chixiao sect, and when he arrived at the scene in person, only thousands of copies were left in the mountain. Standard ghost weapon. Speaking of which, a glimmer of light flashed in the eldest princess's eyes. The Lord of Jade City is indeed an old fox. He first picked it out without leaving any trace, and then pointed out the standard ghost weapon in the mountain. However, he did not say that it was made by the Ministry of Industry, nor did he reveal the powerful relationship between it. But those veterans of the imperial court, who are not old foxes, all understand what it means when the standard ghost weapons of the Ministry of Industry appear thousands of miles away in Hudishan, Jade City, and are concentrated in a bandit den. I think the third prince will be in big trouble in less than 3 days. After listening, Shen Jian nodded silently. What about the evidence you collected? Are you not going to hand it over? If you don't hand it over, or rather, I can't hand it over directly, but after the final investigation, I will hand over the evidence to the ministers loyal to me, and piece it together bit by bit to become a complete piece of information again evidence. This kind of evidence is in line with my suspicious father's character, and he will believe that there is nothing fishy here. The eldest princess became more and more skilled, putting 1 foot on top and 1 foot on bottom. After a while, the 2 feet were placed on top together, and 10 white and tender strands were intertwined like silkworms crawling on the leaves. It seems that the third prince's downfall will be in these few days. Do you have a way to deal with the prince? Shen Jian asked next. Without the threat of the third prince, the only ones left in front of the eldest princess were the prince and the 13th prince. The 13th prince is ignored. There was only 1 prince left before the battle for the eldest princess to win the rightful son. He didn't know much about the prince. All he knew was that the last time he entered the Qingguo dungeon, the prince was in charge of the Qingguo. However, because after he killed Prince Li, the majesty of the royal family was completely lost, the prince naturally became the biggest scapegoat. Not only was he imprisoned in the East Palace by Emperor Qing to wake up, he was also deposed from the power of the imperial court and became very low-key. It is precisely because of this that the opportunity for the battle for the right to inherit the throne emerged. To be honest, no, the prince's hands and feet are very clean, and there is a household department directing him from behind. Even if he moves the royal family's money, at most he will be reprimanded a few times, and it will be indifferent to him. Her Royal Highness Princess Milan said helplessly. But, maybe we can start from one aspect. What? Shen Jian asked. Remember what I told you about the queen's poisoning? I suspect that the crown prince framed me behind the scenes. If I can find out the evidence that the crown prince poisoned the queen, I will be sure to bring him down in court. Let him be charged with murdering the queen. After listening, Shen Jian was thoughtful. According to what you said, you should have tried it, but failed in the end. Yes, I was imprisoned as soon as I was framed. When my people secretly wanted to investigate, there were no clues. I found nothing, but my intuition told me, the prince did this, and except for him, no one dared to take action against me at that time. Princess Milan expressed her guess. He looked at Shenjian expectantly. She had no idea and couldn't think of any clues to continue the investigation, but she felt that Shenjian might have an idea. In fact, even the eldest princess herself didn't know that when Shenjian helped her solve her dilemma several times, she had already placed Shenjian in a position 1 point higher than hers. Only then can I feel that Shenjian has a way to solve this kind of incident where there is no evidence or clue. I understand. I will go talk to the queen later. Shenjian nodded. Got some ideas. As long as there are witnesses and any subtle clues, he can use the fox fairy and the supernatural precision of the parchment to track down the source. Thinking. Her Royal Highness the Princess trembled violently. Yuzu, who was riding on Shenjian, also stopped. Look at the feet. She wiped her face flushed. After tidying up her clothes again, she walked out. But before leaving, she glanced at Shenjian a few more times, and then whispered, have you ever asked that servant's wife to do this kind of thing? Shenjian was slightly startled. Then his eyes became weird. Is this considered jealous? It's so weird that you're jealous. No. Shenjian's expression remained unchanged. In fact, he had never tried this with the vice minister's wife. Abnormal. The eldest princess dropped these words and disappeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 740. Jinho Mansion Study. Shenjian let out a breath. He shook his head with some unfinished thoughts. To sum it up in 2 words, difficult. I can't wait to go find the vice minister's wife and have an in-depth communication now. Shenjian used yin qi to suppress this eager desire. In his heart, he was thinking about the follow-up plan. According to his understanding, since the prince's resignation, everything in the court has returned to the hands of Emperor Qing. But Emperor Qing was not like the dynastic emperors in the human world who went to court every day to handle affairs. Instead, he delegated all powers to the Prime Minister and asked the Prime Minister to cooperate with the 6 ministers to handle the entire process. And he appears every once in a while to handle some government affairs that require a decision by the king of a country. Generally speaking, the court has been in a state of kinglessness for a long time. Because of this, the princes were given the opportunity to fight for their heirs, and they were given the opportunity to win over the officials of the 6 ministries, and even collude with them. In the human world, the emperor who had been neglecting his government for such a long time had long been dismissed and became a puppet emperor. However, Emperor Qing relied on the terrifying level of world-destroying ghosts and gods and did not worry about this at all. In other words, if Her Royal Highness the Princess wants to ascend to the throne, it is not enough to be recognized by the officials of the 6 ministries and the Prime Minister of the dynasty. She also needs to be personally acknowledged by Emperor Qing. Otherwise, no matter how many people you win over, they will never be worth the holy words of Emperor Qing. In this case, if the eldest princess still wants to ascend to power, she will have no choice but to rebel. At this point, is there consensus? Winning over officials from the 6 ministries and the Prime Minister of the dynasty, and eliminating other princes who have claimed the title of heir, is to become the undisputed candidate for the crown prince, and to become the crown prince of the Qing kingdom for reasons that no one can refute. If this fails, the massacre of the city by King Pingnan will be exposed. Exposed everything, coerce the civil and military forces of the dynasty, and forced Emperor Qing to abdicate. The eldest princess hopes that everything goes well and does not lead to rebellion. And he was already planning to dig out the secrets of Emperor Qing's plan to destroy the Qing kingdom. Dig out the secret of the opponent who is suspected of wanting to advance to the world-destroying level of ghosts and gods. To know. Among the terrifying levels of ghosts announced by Horror World, world-destroying ghosts and gods have reached the end. There is no way to advance. But Shen Jian knew that there was a group of people who might have this method. That is the former survivor of the underworld. As far as he knew, Meng Po was one, and there was a fourth place, Luo Fengtian, who was Kesidagarba in the Buddhist kingdom. Especially Kesidagarba, his status in the underworld is higher than that of ordinary yamas. Needless to say, the strength is natural. At least it's at the level of the king of hell, maybe even higher. Moreover, this kind of person who is suspected of surviving the period of the underworld's destruction has a high probability of knowing the truth about the underworld's destruction. Whether it's finding these people or exploring the secrets of the underworld, this is what he, the leader of the underworld, wants to do. With this thought in mind, Shen Jian pondered for a moment. Calculating the time, it has been 2 weeks since I came to the Qingguo dungeon, and I have gained a lot. Now that he only has the last dragon energy left in the hands of the royal family, he can fully reclaim the authority of Zhouju Yintian Palace, and is one step closer to unlocking the Azura Path, one of the 6 paths of reincarnation. He has not forgotten that the condition for unlocking the Azura Path is to gather the authority of Sanya Luo Fengtian. By then, he either unlocks the status of Emperor Fengdu, or obtains something related to the status of Emperor Fengdu. This was his main purpose for entering the Qing kingdom copy for the second time. At the moment, everything is progressing steadily. The plan to eliminate the prince has also taken shape. Just wait for the third prince to fall, and you can proceed to the next step. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye. These 3 days, there was an uproar in the court. The news about the presence of a large number of Ministry of Industry standard ghost weapons in Hutu Mountain in Jade City spread throughout the court. Emperor Qing was furious and ordered an investigation. Officials from the 6 ministries reported the matter one after another. Submit the fragmented information you know. After further review by the Prime Minister, all the information finally pointed to the third prince and the Ministry of Industry officials who colluded with the third prince. The truth of the matter comes to light. Moreover, all searches were conducted according to formal channels, and no one could find anything wrong at all. The only doubt may lie in the mysterious man who destroyed Hutu Mountain. The court concluded that the mysterious man had a grudge against Hutu Mountain and had a strength that was infinitely close to that of a world-destroying ghost and god. He might even be a newly born world-destroying ghost and god. His attitude towards Qingguo is very crucial. At the same time, a mansion under the name of the third prince. Several figures wearing masks and shrouded in darkness returned here. The mask was lifted, revealing a normal human appearance. It was the player who joined the third prince's lineup. There were 9 of them before they were released from death row. Now, there are only 4 left. Brother Yang, doesn't anyone want to join us yet? The secret guards missions are becoming more and more frequent. If we don't add more manpower, we will be stuck here. One player worried. Yes, what we are doing now, at best, is a ghost trafficker, at worst, we are helping the third prince to destabilize the Qing kingdom. Once discovered, the third prince will never admit that we are his secret guards. But will kill us first to silence us. Even if we have more than 30 points of favor, we can't stop him from being accused of undermining the stability of Qingguo. The other 2 players also said this, with the same worry in their eyes. When they joined the third prince lineup, they were already mentally prepared. But who would have thought that as a member of the royal family and one of the candidates for the throne, the third prince was actually doing the business of a ghost trafficker, and it was the most brutal kind. Their task is to select kidnapping targets, kidnap them, and send them to designated locations. Those who are in good condition will be transported by another group of people and sent to the robber's den. Those of poor quality will be dismembered and become a source of funds for the third prince. Relying on this kind of business, the third prince can support his great cause. Now, the mission requirements of the secret guards are becoming more and more demanding, requiring them to capture no less than 5 ghosts every 3 days. Even a ghost master cannot withstand this intensity. Otherwise, their number would not have been reduced by half. The plan for now is to recruit more people and let more players fall into the trap. Hear this. The player with the ID Yongxing took off his black robe, revealing the shroud robe on his body, and said with a serious expression, "There are already 2 players who are interested in making a move and are asking me for information. Everyone needs to hold on, third prince." Although his methods are crude, according to my understanding, the third prince secretly organized an armed force. Once it is complete, even the prince will have difficulty competing. We only need to survive this period of time and it will be time for a good harvest. His words are infectious. Make people believe it without even realizing it. What about Yama? Has he agreed? Currently, the only person who can pose a threat to the third prince is the prince, and half of the 13th prince. As for the eldest daughter of the emperor, she is stunningly talented, intelligent, and decisive. But after all, she is a woman, so she can only be regarded as half of her. If we can completely grasp the whereabouts of the eldest daughter of the emperor, the third prince can deal with the prince with peace of mind. The player who spoke earlier asked again. Hear the words. The player with the ID Yongxing's face sank. He said in an ugly tone, "He ignored me." The only thing more embarrassing than being underestimated is being ignored. Especially being ignored by someone stronger than him. In this situation, it was as if he was boasting and quoting scriptures in an attempt to attract Shen Jian's attention and let him know that he was no worse than him. In the end, he found that Shen Jian had never even looked at him. It had always been him. Amusing myself. He's just like a clown. Ignore it. He is too arrogant. The other players were dissatisfied. I felt that Shen Jianti didn't take them seriously. They are both players and ghost masters, so why is he so confident? Just a 5-star player? It's noisy. 5-star players can only cause a sensation among their human group. If placed in a 5-star dungeon, it wouldn't even make a splash. Only after they became secret guards and joined the third prince's lineup did they realize that ghost kings are inferior to dogs and that abyss-level ghost kings are everywhere. Apart from them, any secret guard is the ghost king. 5-star player? In the lineup of the third prince, it is the lowest level existence, on the same level as them. They couldn't figure out why Shen Jian refused such a generous offer. Who knows, maybe he really has the idea that the eldest daughter of the emperor can seize the throne. Yongxing shrugged, with a hint of ridicule and sarcasm in his words. During the conversation. Bang! The door to the mansion was violently pushed open. A group of night-wandering gods led a team came in. Without saying a word, he captured all the secret guards here. All the players were a little confused. Didn't dare to resist at all. Because the consequences of resisting the Nightwalker god were very serious and they couldn't bear it. A secret guard loyal to the third prince angrily scolded Yaoshan, "Do you know what you are doing? We are the third prince's people. What qualifications do you have to arrest us? When the third prince comes back, you will be finished." The members of the night travel god sneered, "Then you have no chance. The third prince intends to rebel. The evidence is conclusive. He has been imprisoned and all his finances have been confiscated. It's time for you secret guards to return to your old place." A group of players? Yongxing? Before they could understand the meaning. Not long after. Players returned to the familiar death row. Along the way. Their brains shut down. Still a little unresponsive. It wasn't until other people loyal to the third prince were arrested one after another that they managed to piece together the answer. The third prince secretly organized an armed force and secretly transported materials from the Ministry of Industry. He was also investigated into the organ trade and other industries. He was punished for several crimes and was detained in prison. And all of them, the properties of the third prince, were imprisoned. And it's death row. In other words, the third prince is finished. And all their efforts these days were in vain, as they returned to before liberation. Looking at the eyes of several veteran players of Sky Snake, Sky Tiger and King Quan, the player with the ID Yongxing lost his mind. Wrapping up the shroud robe tightly, his eyes only felt dark. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 741. Chapter 736 Dungeon Difficulty Change 6 stars. Death Row. The player with the ID Yongxing huddled in the corner of the cell and tightened his shroud, feeling that this copy was targeting him. Less than 7 days after he joined the third prince, he finally used his biggest trump card and gained more than 30 points of goodwill with the third prince, and was about to show off his talents. Damn it, the third prince was arrested? Where the hell are you going to reason with this? Grass. This was not directed at him, but he didn't believe it himself. Why did the dignified third prince, one of the strong candidates for the throne, lose everything in just a few days? The so-called test of eyesight is to see which prince will not be caught, right? He wanted to cry but had no tears. Sad about his experience on death row for the second time. More importantly, his mission failed. Although only the side mission failed, the progress of the side mission is related to the success of the main mission. The third prince was imprisoned, so how could he participate in the battle for the legitimate son with him? He might never have a chance to escape from death row again. Just thinking about it? The scarlet panel suddenly appeared. It has been detected that the prince selected by the player has lost the qualification to seize the throne, and the side mission has failed. It has been detected that there are special factors that affect the results of the inheritance. It has been detected that the difficulty of the player's copy has changed, and the information has been corrected. Copy, 9 Sun sees the direct descendants. Difficulty, 6 stars. It has been detected that the current copy mode exceeds the player level, and rewards have been paid in advance. Special reward, select the prince lineup, initial favorability add 30, limited to this copy. Note, the prince's lineup he assists can inherit the favorability if he succeeds in winning the throne. Note, players who have selected a lineup cannot have this reward. Note, players have one opportunity to change the lineup, select the lineup, and the previous goodwill will be cleared. The first line of scarlet font only appears in front of the 4 players who are on death row, but the subsequent prompts are available to all players. See the panel. All players were stunned. He stared blankly at the scarlet characters 6 stars. 6 stars. Holy shit, what the hell, a 6-star difficulty dungeon. This is your uncle's horror game, and you want us, a group of 4-star players, to cross 2 levels and participate in a 6-star difficulty dungeon. This moment. All the players in the cell could not sit still. There was despair in his eyes, and his face was as white as paper. Nothing else. The words 6-star difficulty completely broke their nerves and plunged them into an inextricable fear. The Dragon Kingdom itself is inferior to the Western world in terms of horror games. The 5-star dungeons that are known to the top Ghost Masters in the Western world are the first time that the Dragon Kingdom Ghost Masters have heard of the dungeon difficulty. And what is the 5-star copy known as? Epic copy. It is a hell for 4-star players, and it is difficult for even 5-star players to protect themselves. But now, the thriller game suddenly told them, surprise, I am not a 5-star copy, I am a 6-star copy. Such news is already shocking. If someone has a bad heart, there is a possibility of direct cerebral hemorrhage. The players were in an uproar. Some were stunned, some bit their fingers, and some banged their heads on the wall. Without exception, they were all venting their emotions. An emotion called fear. I don't know how long it took. The sinister young man with the ID of Sky Snake was the first to come to his senses and scolded coldly, "Calm down, it's his business to have convulsions in horror games, but if you attract the attention of the jailer and other death row inmates, then what will happen to us in the death row? The situation is even more difficult." Hear this. All the players still couldn't calm down. But he instinctively makes himself less conspicuous. This is a lesson that experienced gamers must know. In the horror world, being low-key and inconspicuous is always the most important thing for survival. What? Do you still think you can go out? This is simply a trick of the thriller game. He had no intention of letting us pass the level from the beginning. Otherwise, how could he raise the difficulty to 6 stars? Let alone us, even if the Dragon Kingdom is the strongest, even if all the Ghost Masters gather together, they won't be able to pass this level. A player whose mentality collapsed said excitedly. Thriller games don't have an option to die, it's just that it's hard to find a way out. The difficulty of the dungeon has increased. The thriller game also knows that we have no chance of passing the level, so it gives us a chance to survive. Tianxi pointed at the words initial favorability at 30, her tone still cold. The initial favorability at 30 means that nothing will happen to us in a short time. What happens after that requires us to work together. Hear this. The agitated players slowly regained their composure. With a hint of obedience in his eyes, he said eagerly, "What should we do?" Then you have to know what the special factors mentioned on the game panel are. I wonder if Brother Yang has any ideas about this. Tianxi looked at the shrouded man with the ID Yongxing and asked. He had been on death row and knew little about the outside world. He didn't know more than the players who had been out. He needs more information. Brother Yang, do you know how the third prince failed? Yongxing. Looking at the words "do it again" on the panel, he reluctantly cheered up. Slightly speechless, he said, "I don't know how I failed, and I don't know why the third prince fell to the wall and everyone pushed him away, but I guess it was the other legitimate princes who took action and caught the third prince. A horse's foot can kill you with one blow. Do you have any references?" "No." "Wait, yes." Yongxing seemed to remember something, sat up and said, "I once sent a private message to Yan Luo, asking him if he wanted to rebel and secretly deliver information to the third prince. He refused without hesitation. Well, I didn't even reply. According to my investigation over the past few days, the only people with such strength are the prince and the eldest princess. On the surface, the prince was imprisoned in the East Palace and woke up. There is no motive for committing the crime, while the eldest princess has no such restrictions." Other players understood. The reason why Shen Jian was indifferent to the persuasion to surrender was because he knew that the third prince had been caught by the eldest princess and would be imprisoned soon, so he ignored Yongxing's invitation. Although it is just a guess, the players present are not fools. They knew that without absolute confidence and certainty, how could Shen Jian give up the chance of survival so easily? It seems that the eldest daughter of the emperor has been planning for a long time. To bring down a rising prince cannot be achieved by simply planning for a few days. There was some hesitation in Tianxi's eyes. He seemed to be thinking about something. Tianhu on the side was impatient and asked directly, "Tianxi, do we want to change the lineup? It sounds like the eldest daughter of the emperor is much better than the prince. I really didn't expect this, but there is too much uncertainty for a woman to win the heir. Even if she can bring down the third prince, what about the prince? What about the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty? And what about the emperor of Qingguo? Especially the emperor at this level, is an emperor really willing to see the risk of his country changing hands? Tianxi hesitated for a while, then shook her head. I still think that the crown prince has a better chance of winning. He is the orthodox crown prince. Even if there is a risk of being frozen now, he is still the undisputed future emperor. The atmosphere fell into silence. Everyone is thinking about whether they should bet on the prince, the eldest daughter of the emperor, or other princes. Although after the difficulty of the dungeon increased, they had the opportunity to choose the lineup again, but if they died on the way, they would not be able to use this authority to change the lineup. One choice may ruin their lives. You can never be too cautious. Hey, that Yama is too cold, isn't he? In the past, he was so uncommunicative in dungeons. Doesn't he want to recruit more players for the eldest daughter of the emperor? At this time, one player complained. He deliberately chose the side of the emperor's eldest daughter, but regarding the information about the emperor's eldest daughter, he basically turned a blind eye. In this case, even if he wanted to choose, he would not dare to risk his own life. Who knows what he is doing now? There has been no news from him for how many days? There is a high probability that he was sent out to perform the mission by the eldest daughter of the emperor. As you all know, the missions of the secret guards are simply not done by humans. They are all dirty and shameful things. He should be doing these dirty jobs now, tired work. The other side. Shen Jian also saw this game panel. Glanced. He looked away. Because this reminder has nothing to do with him. He won't be able to enjoy the buff of add 30 favorability, nor will he change the lineup anymore, which is useless. Thinking. A delicate voice sounded, Mr. Shen, your hands. Hear sounds. Shen Jian narrowed his eyes. Look away. At this moment, he had a hand on the hand of the Empress Zhan Tai Mingjing. Sorry, I got distracted. Shen Jian said slightly apologetically. His eyes moved. Queen of Daking Zhan Tai mirror. Current status, shy, conflicted, hesitant. Favorability, 62, ambiguous. Through a series of interactions and occasional physical contact, he finally raised the Queen's favorability to the ambiguous stage of over 60 points. At this point, it is almost impossible to continue to improve. Apparently, ordinary contact can no longer tug at the Queen's heartstrings. The other party needs something fresher and more intimate interaction in order to continue to heat up the relationship unconsciously. What are you thinking about, so absorbed? Regarding Shen Jian's rudeness, the Empress has grown accustomed to it from being panicked at the beginning. In previous contacts, Shen Jian not only put his hand on her back, but sometimes also touched her waist inadvertently. She has almost gotten used to it. This kind of physical contact. Certainly. There is still panic. After all, the most noble woman in the Qing kingdom, the mother of the nation, was actually taken advantage of by a man in the small bamboo pavilion of Prince Jin's palace. If he told her, they would be drowned in spittle. If she is discovered, not only will she lose her grace, but Shen Jian will also be involved. I was thinking, my dear, you have adapted to the simplest massage. Do you want to try other methods of soothing your muscles and bones that I learned in the human world? Shen Jian's eyes were filled with confusion. Other ways? Yes, humans seem to call this yoga. It can not only shape your body, but also improve your sleep. Queen, you work day and night for the 13th prince. What you need most is a stable sleep condition. In this way. The queen hesitated, her seductive eyes blinked slightly, and her body twisted inadvertently. What should I do? Hear this. The smile in Shen Jian's eyes grew stronger. His efforts were not in vain. After he tirelessly used yin energy to stimulate the queen's acupuncture points, the body of the empress in front of her, who was the mother of the world, had become different from before. A lot more sensitive. Some crave some kind of pleasure. He felt that he could be more radical. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 742. The Jinn Palace is very big. There are even more spare rooms. However, after thinking about it, Shen Jian gave up the idea of entering the private space. 1. The Queen's favorability is not enough. With more than 60 points of favorability, she barely enters the ambiguous stage. She has a good impression, does not dislike her, and can have slight physical contact. However, if she enters an unmanned box and forms a private environment, it is very likely that she will enter the ambiguous stage. Will scare the opponent away. Second, the Queen has a high level of patience. During this period of time, he would use yin energy to stimulate the acupuncture points of this noble and beautiful woman's body in basically every massage. Under normal circumstances, this level of stimulation would be enough to make her get up in the middle of the night and chant water magic. But in his perception, the Queen didn't seem to have tried. I don't know if I don't understand or if I don't know how to do it. If such a person with extremely strong tolerance shows that he has evil intentions from the beginning, then the other party will become wary, and it is not uncommon to even cut off contact directly. To this end, Shen Jian did not choose a private room. Instead, we chose Bamboo Pavilion and solved it on the spot. Thinking. Shen Jian used the power of the wishing ghost to pull out a pink yoga mat and a set of black tight-fitting yoga clothes out of thin air. Mom, this is yoga clothing. It is also the most suitable clothing for exercise. You can try it on. Shen Jian put down his clothes. He looked serious. The Queen was stunned. There was a bit of curiosity in her beautiful eyes. This was indeed the first time she had seen human clothes. This intrigued her greatly. Soon, Zhan Tamingjing came back from changing clothes. A pair of seductive blue pupils twitched slightly, his figure twisted, his right hand resting on his left arm, and he said very uncomfortably, "Shen, Mr. Shen, this dress is so strange." She originally wanted to say not serious, but she felt that it was not a good word, so she changed her words. The other side. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. I saw the Queen in front of me, Zhan Taming, wearing a tight-fitting black yoga suit, which brought her plump body advantages to the limit. Her slender straight legs and perfect hourglass curves made people daydream. Especially the face that has not been put on makeup and is delicate and brings disaster to the country and the people. There is no trace of the passage of time at all. No one who sees it will think that this is the mother of a 10-year-old child. Yoga is like this. It seems a little strange to wear it, but in the human world, everyone is like this. Slim-fitting clothes are easier to shape. Shen Jian opened his mouth and came. Brainwash the Queen in advance. Is that so? It's quite comfortable to wear. Seeing Shen Jian's openness, the Queen's inner shame eased a bit. Apart from being a bit thin and highlighting her figure too much, this yoga outfit is really conservative and basically reveals nothing. Think of this. She no longer doubted Shen Jian's thoughts. Instead, he was a little eager to try. "Mr. Shen, what should we do next?" She admitted that she somewhat enjoyed this kind of contact that was a little out of line, but not completely beyond the bottom line. She entered the palace early and became the concubine of Emperor Qing, but she had never seen her husband in person until she became the queen. Even after she became the queen, she only met Emperor Qing twice. Once they got to know each other, and once they held the ceremony of canonizing the queen. It can be said, the time she had been in contact with Emperor Qing was not as long as the time she had been in contact with Shen Jian. She is also a woman, she also loves passion and craves her husband's rudeness. But it's a pity. She was delusional. In fact, she was already lucky. Most of the concubines in the harem might never have the chance to see Emperor Qing in their lifetime. Therefore, Shen Jian's intrusion was like poison that penetrated the intestines, making her worry about many things, but she still did not refuse clearly. Instead, she was already craving more contact. Lie down on the yoga mat and I'll explain it to you one by one. Shen Jian pointed to the pink mat spread on the bamboo pavilion with a strange look in his eyes. The other side. The 13th prince, who was not far from the bamboo pavilion, rubbed his head, holding grass in one hand and a rabbit in the other, practicing how to stuff the rabbit into the slender grass. Under normal circumstances, this is impossible. But within the ghost realm, anything is possible. If you want to achieve ghost realm exile, you first need to accurately control your own ghost realm. Teleportation and ghost wall breaking are just the most basic supernatural powers of the ghost realm. On a deeper level, you need to combine the external environment with the ghost realm. The most typical one is to put ghosts into the wall to restrict the opponent's movement. What he is doing now is an advanced version. Tuck the rabbit into the grass. If this can be achieved, everything in the ghost realm will be a prison. But it's a pity. He failed many times. Just let the teacher tell me the trick. The 13th prince thought of this. He stood up immediately. Now, he is convinced by Shen Jian and has great respect for Shen Jian as a teacher. But what troubled him was that Shen Jian didn't pay attention to him all the time like his previous teacher. Instead, as soon as he finished teaching, he ran to his mother to have tea and chat. This gave him the illusion that teaching him was incidental, and drinking tea with his mother was the focus. Ah! At this time, there was a cry from the direction of Zuding. It was very subtle. If he hadn't just finished practicing, he might not have heard the sound. The 13th prince was surprised. Why does this voice sound like his mother's voice? Could it be that there was a conflict between the teacher and the queen? Think of this. The 13th prince was a little panicked and followed the sound in the direction of the Zuding pavilion. The closer. The sound became clearer and clearer. Ah, Shen, Mr. Shen, it hurts. The mother's somewhat painful voice came intermittently. Queen, please bend your waist downwards. It will stop hurting after a while. The teacher's voice also sounded. The 13th prince paused. Patted his head. I almost forgot, the teacher did say just now that he wanted to teach the queen a movement called yoga, and for this purpose he also asked the queen to change into a special outfit. The cry just now should be the result of exercise. In this case, it is better not to disturb the two of them now. There was a trace of hesitation on the face of the 13th prince, but looking at the rabbit and grass in his hand, he still walked over in confusion. He thought, just take a look, and if the teacher and mother are really busy, don't bother them. Soon. The 13th prince quietly opened the grass on one side of the bamboo pavilion and saw the scene inside the bamboo pavilion. The queen mother was wearing a black tights, her legs were kneeling on a pink mat, her upper body was lying forward, and her head was buried in the two white arms lying forward. With this movement, the clothes around her waist were lifted up, revealing a piece of white flowers. Not only that. Looking from this direction, the queen's already plump buttocks are even more perfect. The teacher also knelt behind the mother, leaning forward slightly, and his two big hands naturally attached to the mother's white waist. The 13th prince was shocked. My first reaction was that the teacher was taking advantage of my mother. But take a closer look. The reason why the teacher placed his hands like this was purely to put pressure on the queen mother and make her bend down as much as possible. But this action seems a bit indecent. He always felt that there was something indescribably strange about the behavior of his mother and the teacher. Because from his point of view, the queen was lying on the mat, while the teacher was lying on the queen's body. The position of her abdomen seemed to be pressed against the queen's curvy part, and her body was still leaning forward, getting closer. Doesn't your mother think there's anything wrong? The 13th prince was a little confused. But since the queen mother didn't stop her, this seemingly ambiguous and abnormal action should be normal guidance and teaching. It can only be said that yoga in the human world is so weird. Just thinking about it? Shen Jian said, "Okay, Empress, if you press it any further, your muscles and bones will be injured." Finished. Shen Jian let go of his hand. He stood up with his back to the 13th prince. At this time, the 13th prince also saw his mother's raised face. His eyes were half closed, his face was red, and there was an indescribable charm in his eyes. This was the first time he saw his mother looking like this. As the 13th prince of the Qing kingdom and the legitimate son of a queen of the country, although he is only 10 years old, he has some understanding of the affairs between men and women due to his familiarity. She even secretly carried her mother on her back and visited Gulan once with her eunuchs. Many of the women there seemed to show this kind of charm to attract male customers. The 13th prince shook his head. Dispelled such disrespectful thoughts. He actually compared his mother to that hooked woman. It was really damning. Such a charming red face should be the effect of this yoga exercise. Right. That's it. Think of this. The 13th prince walked out. Teacher, have you finished helping the queen with her yoga exercise? I still don't understand the use of the ghost realm in the second stage. Here sounds. The Empress Zhan Taming-Jing realized later that she still had a son staying here. Immediately, she turned her head away as if she felt guilty. See this? An inexplicable color flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. He glanced slightly at the water stain reaction he had just noticed, came back to his senses, and was in a good mood to tell the 13th prince more ghost domain techniques. A long time. Only then did Shen Jian think of business. Think about it. He got straight to the point. Queen, I heard that not long ago, you were poisoned in the palace and almost died. The queen was stunned. How do you know? This matter has a great impact. Only a few people know about it. Where did you hear it? I have my own way, Shen Jian said vaguely and continued to ask, has the murderer been found? Hear the words. The queen's face showed a somewhat gloomy and twisted expression. No, I just said that this matter has a great impact. Emperor Qing personally ordered that no investigation be allowed, and the only suspect, the eldest princess, was imprisoned. The matter just ended. You also think she is the eldest princess? All the evidence points to her. I don't even have a chance to re-investigate. Yes or no, this matter has been finalized. Then if I want to re-investigate this matter, do you have any clues? Re-investigate? Why? The queen was even more stunned. What is the point of re-investigating a matter that has already been concluded? I want to do something for you, my queen, to make up for my disrespectful behavior just now. Shen Jian's expression remained unchanged. The meaning behind the words is, I want to help you. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 743. On the pavilion. Shen Jian has a serious expression and deep eyes. It was obviously a simple sentence, but at this moment, it seemed to be endowed with extraordinary meaning. Looking directly into Shen Jian's eyes, Queen Zhan Taming lowered her head subconsciously, her beautiful eyes not daring to look at Shen Jian, and she felt her heart beating fast. She was sent to the palace through family marriage, and she had never experienced the emotions that ordinary women expected. The relationship between her and Emperor Qing was not so much a couple, but rather Emperor Qing's decision to stop Yu from talking. The tool of choice. This was already understood after she became queen. Therefore, she placed everything on her legitimate son. I hope that the 13th prince will be safe and not follow the same path as Emperor Qing, and let the next chess piece like her go through her fate again. As for feelings. As the queen of a country, How could she have this opportunity? Even after being deposed, there is still no hope. To this end, she can only develop other hobbies. Listening to opera is one of them. And today, she heard a man say to her openly, "Want to help her?" This man is very bold. Zhang Tamingjing's heart was touched again. Think about it. It feels completely normal again. The term bold is almost tailor-made for the other party. Whether it was killing Prince Li in public, or being wanted by the Qing kingdom, walking arrogantly in the Qing kingdom's imperial capital, and making a spectacle of himself, it was beyond the imagination of ordinary people. If she were asked to choose a person who dared to overturn the verdict, the eldest princess would be one of them, and Shen Jian would be the second. Mother, what are you thinking? I am serious. I was rude just now. Shen Jian continued. Choose to deepen the impression of this noble and beautiful woman just now. With such a level of contact, the queen must have felt something abnormal behind her, but she did not stop him, but allowed him to gradually lean forward until it was completely in contact with her buttocks. You know, this is just a thin layer of yoga pants. The intensity of the sensation is almost as strong as taking off one's clothes. When Shen Jian mentioned it again, the queen's eyes became even more panicked. Changing the topic, I know, but although I am a party to this matter, I actually don't know much because I had already fallen into a short slumber at the time. After the incident, I checked the files. All the evidence above pointed to the maid next to the eldest princess. The maid also admitted on the spot that the eldest princess ordered her to poison my food. It happened to be that day, or the eldest princess came to pay her respects in person, and evidence was found on the maid's body. The eldest princess also had traces of supernatural poison on her body, so the case was solved and all the connections were clearly visible. The result is that I was rescued, the eldest princess was imprisoned, and her maid was dismembered and completely dead. Shen Jian nodded slightly. No wonder the eldest princess didn't resist. This was clearly a plot against her. With all the evidence pointing to her, resisting would only make the development of the incident worse. This poisoner not only bribed the maids around the eldest princess, but there must also be conspirators in the queen's palace, otherwise he would not have been able to get it so easily. Shen Jian expressed his speculation. The queen was shocked. His beautiful eyes flashed, and he said with sincerity, Mr. Shen is worthy of being the guardian of the night god. He actually guessed the general idea from just a few words. Yes, I also thought of this possibility later. I checked all the people around me and found the strange person. She was a palace maid next to me. She was the maid who had been with me since I got married in the Zantai family. After the incident, she disappeared without a trace. No matter how hard I try to search, I can't find any trace of her, and neither can the Zantai family. So I think she must be dead and being manipulated to avoid future troubles. After listening, Shen Jian frowned slightly. This matter is indeed difficult to handle. Because all the clues are broken. The only maid who knew the truth was also suspected of being killed. The incident completely reached a dead end. Even if someone senses something fishy, they dare not speak out without evidence. Mr. Shen, thank you for your kindness, but this matter does involve some sensitive things. It is basically difficult to overturn the case. Although I also think that the eldest princess is not the murderer, this matter can only be settled on her. The queen sighed quietly. She didn't want to catch the mastermind behind the scenes and let them know that she, the queen, was not a vegetarian, but when she investigated again, she could clearly detect that there was always a force influencing her investigation. As for the entire Qing kingdom, there are only a few that have such influence. Once exposed, the case turns around and more people are involved, with disastrous consequences. I have a solution. Shen Jian was non-committal. He took out the parchment from his body. The next second, the parchment shook. Supernatural resurgence. Black handwriting began to be written on the parchment. Praise the Supreme God. You have a pair of eyes that are good at discovering wisdom. Thank you for choosing me, who is as humble as dust. I will dedicate everything to God. It seems that he knows that flattering too much will arouse Shen Jian's dislike. The parchment just spoke. Let's get right to the point. I am God. When you read these words, God's light will protect you. After listening to the Queen's story, I haven't found any clues yet. I can only go to Jean Tai's house to see if I can find any clues. It's a pity that the road I have walked has been walked by the Queen. It wasn't until later that I learned that the Xantai family's criteria for selecting maids were that one of the criteria was not to have supernatural beings that could cause harm. Once the supernatural beings lose their harmfulness, they will develop all kinds of weird abilities. And this maid's supernatural power is actually an identity change. Only now do I know why the maid took the risk of death and chose to frame the young lady she was serving. The identity change means that even if the matter is exposed, she can rely on this supernatural power to escape safely and continue living with another identity. However, such a supernatural power comes at a great cost. If you change your identity, you need to live with the other person's identity. Once you violate the rules, the supernatural power will backfire and send her into her original identity. And that maid is only at the abyss level, and her supernatural coverage is only half of the imperial capital. For this reason, I started to actively search for her. I found it. After 3 days of searching, I found a haunted house. Someone once saw that the mistress of this haunted house suddenly changed her temperament one day and muttered something like "I succeeded." However, within a few days, it returned to its original state. When the writing on the parchment ended, Shen Jian had already scanned it. There was a bit of surprise in his eyes. Identity replacement. Exchanging each other's lives with others and becoming another person is indeed a rare thing. He hadn't even heard of it. According to the predicted content of the parchment, the maid is not dead, or in other words, her identity is dead, but she herself has taken on the identity of others and become another existence by virtue of her supernatural power. In this case, you can indeed avoid the search of the Jean Tai family. And live your whole life without being discovered. In fact, the other party did succeed. Living in the imperial capital, no one discovered her whereabouts. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian looked up. Mother, do you still remember what the maid's supernatural power is? Supernatural powers, Zhan Tamingjing frowned, shook his head and said, I haven't learned about these. I only know that the maids around me have all kinds of special supernatural powers, but I'm afraid not many know what they are. Why do you ask? Shen Jian read out the prediction content on the parchment. The Queen's face suddenly darkened. Anyone who knows that one of the murderers who poisoned him is living in the imperial capital so arrogantly, but he can't find any trace of him, will feel that this is a provocation. She is the Queen. She is the mother of a nation. Such insults will never be tolerated. See this. Shen Jian said, your status is sensitive, so you'd better stop working. I'll just go. Teacher, I'm going too. At this time, the 13th prince, who had been listening in the corner for a long time, also ran over and said angrily, if you dare to poison the Queen, I will see how many lives she can lose. Shen Jian looked at the Queen. The Queen hesitated for a moment. Okay, you can go, but you must pay attention to safety. And you, remember to stay with Mr. Shen. Your identity is different now. Once you are seen alone, I am worried that someone will take risks. The Queen looked at the 13th prince and gave stern instructions. Then he gestured slightly apologetically to Shen Jian, Mr. Shen, it's up to you. If you can resolve this knot in my heart, I will owe you a favor. Shen Jian nodded. It's a nice favor. As the saying goes, debts to people are the hardest to repay. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 744. At the same time. Death Row. After discussion, a group of players finally decided to join the prince's camp. This time, all players reached a consensus. In this game copy where the difficulty has soared to 6 stars, no matter how high the game level is or how many trump cards you have, compared to the entire Qing kingdom, they are all as small as dust. The only thing they can rely on is to cooperate with each other and rely on their brains to break the situation. There is no other possibility. The Yin-Ao young man with the ID of Sky Snake glanced at the number of players, which was 13. A total of 20 people entered this copy. Except for Shenjian, who parted ways from the beginning, there are 19 people left in the cell. Not long ago, only 4 of the 9 players who chose to join the third prince lineup returned to death row. After calculation, the player group should be 14 people to be considered complete. As for the missing one, Tianxi set her sights on the slovenly bearded man in the cell. The opponent's ID is King Quan and his level is as high as 62. He is the highest level existence in the entire Dragon Kingdom game, and he is also recognized as the number 1 person in the supernatural circle. However, the other party did not respond to his words. In other words, the number 1 person in the supernatural circle does not want to join the prince's lineup. Think of this. Walking around his city, one could not help but show a bit of surprise. If he doesn't choose the third prince, and the prince doesn't suit his wishes, then who is the candidate in his mind for the heir apparent? Is there any prince who has a greater chance of winning than the prince? The eldest daughter of the emperor? Or the most inconspicuous 13th prince? Think about it. Tian Shen said in a deep voice, King Quan, I believe you also know that this dungeon has undergone changes and has become an unprecedented 6-star dungeon difficulty. Even if you are a 5-star player, you are still very vulnerable in this dungeon. We are all human beings. We should help each other in the dungeon. If you have any information or a favorite candidate, we can choose again. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of all the players fell on each other. They were all dissatisfied with this lifeless man who looked like he had lost his soul. Although they are both 4-star players and cannot compare to the number 1 player in the supernatural world, their opponent's performance in the dungeon was so poor that they could even be called timid. Ever since he entered the dungeon, he didn't talk much, but he still couldn't get excited about anything. He didn't eat or drink, and he just kept leaning in the corner, letting the hair on his forehead cover his eyes, as if he was a living dead. It can be said that a new player who has cleared the new player dungeon will perform better than King Power. There was silence for a long time. The bearded man with the ID of King Quan reacted, raised his eyes slightly, and slowly said in a hoarse and deep voice, I'll give you a piece of advice, stay here and wait for the dungeon to end. What? Everyone was stunned. What does it mean? If you stay here, the copy will end. It's noisy. How could a thriller game have such a loophole to exploit? When others are mentally retarded? What do you know? Tianxi asked forcefully. Confirmed. This number 1 person in the supernatural circle does know some inside information. Only. This information is too vague, just like the prophecy of a magic stick. Wang Quan fell into silence again, and after a long while he took the initiative and said, you can choose the emperor's eldest daughter. Hear this. All the players were in an uproar again. His eyes fell on the 2 players Sky Snake and King Quan, hesitation flashed on their faces. One is the number 1 person in the supernatural circle. One is the leading figure that best suits their interests. Who to believe? Between the prince and the eldest daughter, who has a greater chance of winning? The Yin-Ao young man with the ID of Sky Snake was also shocked, and seemed to be suspicious that the 5-star player in front of him also chose the eldest daughter of the emperor. The only 5-star player in the dungeon chose the lineup of the eldest daughter of the emperor. Is it possible that the eldest daughter of the emperor has some advantages that he doesn't know about that can allow her to win the title of crown prince? Do you have any supernatural props that can make predictions? Sky Snake asked tentatively. Yes, Wang Quan nodded, but the one shown above is not the eldest daughter of the emperor, but the 13th prince. Then why did you? Tian Snake's mind was confused. The person who took over the throne turned out to be the least outstanding 13th prince. I'm afraid no one would have thought of this answer. But since it is the 13th prince who takes over the throne, why are you asking us to choose the eldest daughter of the emperor? Dig a hole for us? But even if you dig a hole, it's not so upright. Because he chose the emperor's eldest daughter. Wang Quan said in a low voice. Who is he? At this time, Tianxi's brain has slowed down for a moment. I really can't imagine where this mysterious self-confidence of Wang Quan comes from. To win the heir, it depends on the entire lineup. What's the use of just one person joining? Wang Quan said no more. But his words made all the players shake their hearts. The prince was the one they predicted had the best chance of seizing the throne. According to Wang Quan, it was actually the 13th prince who finally won the throne. However, the one Wang Quan asked them to choose was the emperor's eldest daughter. Although there was something wrong with the Ghost Master's mental state, this was the first time they had seen him with such confused thoughts. It's totally wrong. A long time. Tianxi glanced at Wang Quan vaguely. He sent a separate group message in the chat interface. I still maintain my opinion. The pressure that the eldest daughter of the emperor has to face is too great, and there is no chance of winning the throne. On the contrary, the 13th prince, I did neglect it, but now I know that the 13rd prince is suspected to be the final candidate for the throne, so we can definitely let the prince take action and eliminate him early. See this? The players' eyes lit up. Indeed. They were under too much pressure to choose to assist the 13th prince. After all, the current 13th prince is just a 10-year-old child. How much help can he have? If you want him to develop, the time span is measured in years. For at least 3 to 5 years, the 13th prince will have no chance to overtake the crown prince. In other words, once they choose the 13th prince, they will be trapped in this 6-star difficulty dungeon for several years. With such a long time, anything unexpected can happen. But choosing the prince is different. The prince has already matured, and as long as he eliminates the 13 princes, no one can threaten the prince's position as heir apparent. They can escape from here as quickly as possible. As for the prophecy changing and the existing history changing, this is nothing to the players who are still considered the fourth natural disaster. They don't care about killing or burying them. Only they can clear the dungeon, and the subsequent impact of the dungeon has little to do with them. Then, everyone reached a consensus. Choose the prince, eliminate the 13 princes, and clear the dungeon. With this thought, they soon escaped from death row and became the secret guards of the prince. The other side. Under the watch of the queen, Shen Jian also took action. The prophetic words on the parchment stated that it was a haunted house located in the imperial capital. Soon, Shen Jian found the predicted location. It was a small courtyard house on the edge of the imperial capital. There are 2 white lanterns hanging in front of the door, the steps are covered with moss, the walls are rusty and starting to fall apart, and there is a smell of decay. It seemed incompatible with the prosperity of the imperial capital. So this is it? Was thinking about it? The 13th prince, who had put on simple clothes, suddenly spoke. Shen Jian was startled. You know this place? The 13th prince nodded, then shook his head nervously, and whispered, Teacher, can you promise not to tell my mother? Certainly. Well, I have indeed heard of this place. No, I have secretly followed the eunuch here before. Teacher, you also know that because my mother is worried about my safety, she has never allowed me to leave the Jin Prince's mansion and the royal palace. Once, the eunuch next to me told me about the ghost stories popular in the palace, one of which was the hidden corner. The 13th prince explained. After that, I secretly hid it from my mother. I followed the eunuchs around me here, and what I saw was this courtyard house located in the corner of the imperial capital. I originally planned to go in and take risks, but considering the possible dangers on both sides, I didn't get in. After listening, Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Tell ghost stories to ghosts, and you don't know who is scaring whom. What ghost story? I forgot a little. I remember it was a story about a family of 5, and the story was only average. The 13th prince frowned, with a straight face, revealing a hint of majesty. Teacher, that one dared to frame my mother. The traitors are inside, let me come, and I will meet them. Say it. The timid and daring 13th prince just pushed open the dusty door and stepped in. He is the abyss-level Ghost King. Although he is not a very powerful character in the imperial capital, how powerful can some of the people involved in ghost stories that are rumored to be? If it reaches the sky, it will be at the abyss level. If he were a top Ghost King, he would have already attracted the city defense and imperial guards to clean up. Therefore, his confidence is through the roof. Thinking that he alone can sweep away the ghosts here and catch the traitors. See this. Shen Jian didn't stop him either. His eyes fell on the skeletal remains in the yard. Judging from the appearance of these remains, there were quite a few people who came to take risks because of this ghost story. However, the end result was tragic. Not only were the bodies eaten clean, but even the bones were chewed out one by one. It seems that he should be of a more brutal type. According to the 13th prince, there are at least 5 ghosts here, and they should be descendants of 3 generations. And the maid with the replaced body was hidden among the 5 people. Ah! Thoughts are spinning. A sudden scream sounded. Teacher, help! The words fell. The 13th prince ran back shouting, with a look of shock on his face. Behind him, an old lady with a cat face hung her limbs halfway on the wall, like a real cat, staring at the 13th prince with green eyes. The teeth were extremely sharp, with some pieces of flesh and blood still remaining on them, and there was drool dripping from the corners of the mouth. Teacher, she is the top Ghost King. When I go back, I will complain to the imperial guards here. They allow an unruly top Ghost King to live here safely. The 13th prince's face turned red. In the imperial capital, the top Ghost Kings and above are all under supervision to prevent them from losing control of their malice and killing people wantonly. However, the cat-faced old lady in front of her killed countless ghosts who broke into this place, and she was still at the level of a top Ghost King, and she was not discovered. Shen Jian looked disgusted and said, "Everything I taught you has been learned from the dog. Watch, I will teach you again."